Hey Void, how you doing? So, I'm trying to do my best to stick to roughly being alphabetical here. My next review notwithstanding, but I'll get to that in the next one. So, after then, sometimes I'm kind of filling in and around, but trying to stick to A, but trying to get as close to the beginning as I can. Filling in some of the Abbott and Costellos are because my partner wants to watch those with me, so those ones are a little bit out of order. And the Ace of Cakes was something I've been working on for some time. So, when I did A.D.Police, that was pretty much the start of the A's. And my next movie in that would be AI, Artificial Intelligence, A.I. Well, now, I do a lot of my solo watchings between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. So, usually at the end of the day, on a weekend, right before I go to sleep, is when I'm going to be watching something like that. But AI is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So, I don't know if I'd be able to stay up through all of it, because it's a slower movie. And two, that's keeping me up a lot later than I'd want to be up. So, I tabled that one and I'm trying to get that one watched during the day at some point. Hopefully soon. So, moving on to the next one would be Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. Sure. Okay. Well, this one being a cool 90 minutes and more of an action bent, yeah, that'll keep me awake. Okay. Here we go. 2012's Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. So, this pretty much follows the life of the 16th president as he starts with him as a young boy, how dealing with the death of his parents, and as he grows up, consumed with a bit of revenge for the man that killed his mother. And, he happens across a man, then on his way to exact his vengeance, he meets a man in a bar who, helps teach him that, vampires exist, as the person he's trying to kill turned out to be a vampire. And, but you should not be consumed by revenge. You should just be consumed by killing vampires instead. So he teaches him about how to kill vampires. Which goes all well and good until he, pretty much avoiding having a social life, until he sets off on his own, meets his new best friend and essentially co-worker Speed, and through Speed meets Mary Todd, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Does really good in this one. So after their courtship, he's decided he wants more of a life, but still all about killing vampires. Especially since vampires have a major stronghold in the South. When you have a bunch of slave labor, people can go missing. It's a good blood source. Well, so essentially the Civil War, where that breaks out, it's mostly people against vampires. Or the slavery emancipation was mostly a way to choke off the vampire's food supply, though he is very still civil liberties and all that because he has a black friend, so he actually is invested in the cause. But that's just an extra reason, especially after the vampires kill his son. Wow. And it kind of goes from there, following his life. Alright, so this one definitely wasn't boring by any means, but I don't know if I could call it a great movie by any means. I mean, the acting's good. Don't get me wrong. And the action is fun, and there's a lot to like, but it comes across as just okay. And that's kind of the problem. A movie titled Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter should be a memorable thing. It really isn't. It doesn't do that much with the premise of Abraham Lincoln being the vampire hunter. I mean, through a lot of it, the first half of it could be anyone that's being the vampire hunter. And when he becomes the president, he's mostly just, dictating things, with the exception of the big train scene, which is a standout scene, don't get me wrong. Alright, so there is that, and also the tight running time I mentioned does make it kind of go fast, because it goes over his life in that short amount of time. So when he is meeting Mary Todd, he is suddenly head over heels for her, and she is definitely for him, and they are getting together very quickly. They have a bit of chemistry, but it doesn't really feel like it takes enough time to develop. It feels like that actually happens over a short span of time. It doesn't seem like that much time has passed, like, even within the confines of the story. So, a little bit of weakness there. So, his relationship with Mary Todd is rushed. There's this weird feeling you get from... Like, Speed's a good best friend for him, but he does see... When his friend from... His childhood friend from his past shows up, he just seems to get something a little odd about him. Could just be because he just came out of nowhere, but it just almost makes it seem like he might almost have a racist angle to work. He doesn't, but just that one meeting seems like it. Also, the effects. Okay. The CG is not good. It's fine, but when all the vampires are doing this, as soon as they go vampire, this is a lot of CG, and there's a lot of, and all the blood sprays are CG. It's the vampires lose any threat as soon as it's just get that fake-looking CG going for them. I mean, when occasionally you're doing some practical effects, like when a vampire gets shot in the eye, and then later on you're seeing just like him dead with a bullet in his eye, that looks good. So this movie can do practical effects. It's just electing not to, and that's a shame. Not enough to really take me out of it, but it was noticeable. Okay, so that is all kind of detractors. I have not read the book this is based on. I know it's vastly different, but next, the movie does have a problem sticking to its own rules. So, the other person who... I can't remember his name. Hayes, I think. Is the guy who trains Abe to be the vampire hunter. You can tell right away this guy's a vampire. Yeah. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but it's pretty obvious. The first thing you see, you see him slathering on sunscreen. There's a rule in this that vampires can't kill other vampires. Yet, when it gets to the big train scene, it seems like this guy is fighting other vampires. So despite this whole thing being brought up about it, but he's there, and it seems like he's getting involved. I don't know, I just felt like it was breaking its own rules in there. Maybe I'm mistaking him for someone else during that period, but it just looked like he was, and I don't know. But yeah, the movie should be bonkers with that title. It takes itself very seriously. It plays it completely straight. Which can work, but it isn't strong enough to make that work. So, you want this iconic imagery there of him in his hat and beard with an axe killing vampires. You get it a little bit on the train sequence. Mostly the beard, but not the hat. And he does have the axe, and that axe is fucking cool. It's an axe with a gun baked into the hilt. I love the axe. Love the axe. But you're more getting this style-looking Lincoln. Which, yeah, that could be anyone. The actor who's playing Lincoln, Benjamin Walker. He's doing a good job. Don't get me wrong. Anthony Mackie's in this. He's doing great. Like, a lot of the cast are doing good. It's very well acted. But it just feels so... It doesn't have a sense of humor that you would think that this should have. It really doesn't. It's very serious. So, I mean, I didn't want winking at the camera the whole time, but I could have used a little levity here. Alright, so there's a lot going for it, and a lot of flaws. It pans out to be a 5. 5 MacGuffins. That's really... It's a mixed bag, but it's worth seeing at least once. That's pretty much where it's at. Me, who has seen it at least twice now, I still stick by, it's worth seeing once. Alright, well, that is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Okay, Void, see you soon.